So the Victims Commissioner, Baroness Newlove, joins us now. Good morning to you. And as you listen to the parents of a young man who was murdered and their experience of being treated like that, when they're hoping that justice is going to be done, what does that make you think needs to be changed?
It's quite an emotional piece to watch because it's something that I've lived and my daughter's lived, and 7 years this year is when Gary died, and so it makes me very angry, the fact that victims go to the courtroom to seek justice and be treated with respect and dignity, and you are still being re-traumatised, you're still living that life plan, and it's really has got to stop. You can't keep saying victims are at the heart of the criminal justice system when actually they're not, they're outsiders looking in a very clinical and cold, and part of the system needs to change.
In the interview that we saw there was a catalogue. There was every step of the way there was a failing and someone else had let them down, and it seems that there's an awful lot of people that need to be sort of re-educated as to the importance of protecting the victims. And is that what you're going to be looking at, is how you can get that education and understanding to the people around in the court's situation? Because that seems like that's going to be absolutely vital. It's
very vital that all the criminal justice agencies, when they speak about victims, truly understand how courageous they are to go in a courtroom in the first place, and they are re-traumatised and trying to justify actions that has traumatised them and their lives. So it's about a culture change as well as an educational change.
But isn't it also about a layout of court? I mean, you know, we heard Ray and Vi there talking about the fact that they're waiting to go into the courtroom, and then you've got the people who are on trial and people associated with them, you know, in the same space. Now, it would seem, wouldn't it, normal that anybody who's affected by the crime would be separated from those, you know, who might have been involved in perpetrating it. What can you do about making sure that that happens?
Again, we've been through that, and that's the challenges when in 2008 I said about that. Going through the same door as the offender's family is very volatile, and having to sit when you're waiting for sentencing with people from the family, people that have been acquitted actually, sit in the same public gallery as you, and you're trying to get through the system and wait for a sentence, and it's got to change.
When you say that to people who run the courts, what's their response?
Most of the workers that help and support victims understand what victims go through, but it's actually not an office for barristers, it's not an office for the judges. This is a public courtroom that people go in to get justice and understanding of the criminal justice system, and victims should never be the poor relations. They shouldn't have to keep going on about the trauma. They need to be supported through the criminal justice system, they need to be supported through the trial, and they need to be supported in rehabilitation after all that process has finished, because their life hasn't finished. They have to get on with a healthier life that they've been traumatised through no fault of their own, and people need to understand this. This isn't any fault of victims. This is a society that's let them down. This is a system that lets them down. And I, as Victims Commissioner, are going to look at the quality of support they get. And if need be, I will challenge government. I will highlight the failings of this system. It has to stop. And I make sure that I get these quality reviews put on the table and say what you mean on the tin.
Well, Baroness Newlove, I mean, we can hear the passion that you have for it and your determination to change things. Thanks so much for coming in to talk to us.